Our next speaker, Sebastien Borget, is the founder of a world. It's called the Sandbox. And his currency is sand, and he has NFTs within it. And he's going to take you into this world so that you can start to see, and let's put that imagination to work in thinking about how does the metaverse really affect where we're going to go and serve those users that are behind Gen Z and growing up, and Gen Z and the millennials, and can go forward, because that's where we're going to have to be focused. So please join me in welcoming Sebastien to the stage. Have a good time.
Everyone, how are you today? Well, I'm last on this presentation. I've seen you've been pretty warmed up about the possibilities that the metaverse has to offer. And I guess it's now my responsibility to convince you that you need to create your avatar, enter this space, and start exploring. And how I'm going to do that, I'm going to talk a little bit like how brands, projects, communities can actually unlock the value of the metaverse and engage people to become more creative, spend more time into those spaces to deliver their message, raise awareness, and much more. So, Sandbox, we are one of the decentralized virtual worlds where basically, we offer like an unlimited number of possibilities. We are not yet fully live, but we've already launched a couple of experiences since the past 2 years. And before I jump into like what we've done, I'd like to take a moment to like really make you realize that we've passed that point of time where more than half of the world population is now digitally native, is born in a digital age, is a digital native, that Gen Z generation. And now that we have more than half of the world population into this category, we have to realize, like, how do we better serve them? How do we address them? Because those users who will become the majority within the next 10 to 20 years are consuming differently. They are socializing differently. They are connecting with each other differently than what we've seen before. For example, they are grown in virtual world, and there's been a recent study that they spend more time already in virtual world and metaverses than on watching TV, on YouTube, Twitch, and other social media channels. 12 hours per week, and it's going to keep growing as they engage with their favorite brands and content, including video games. More than 3 billion of them are actually seeing themselves as gamers, but not the same type of gamer that maybe I kind of grew with. Like, they don't want to be just passive. They want to be creative. They want to be engaged. Actually, 75% of them see themselves as content creator, whether they are streaming videos, audios, photos, or they are actively contributing to like creating the world, spaces, and content of those games that they enjoy. And well, there's a great news. Technology now allows them to actually truly own the content that they create. They spend time to engage, they bring value to those games and platforms, and through blockchain, through NFT, we can actually enforce true digital property rights and enable them to own, to value, to exchange, to monetize the content they create. And believe me or not, this is a real market. Over $40 billion of NFT has been spent in 2022. More than $1 billion trading volume back again in 2023 on most of the NFT marketplaces, such as OpenSea. So they are valuing digital assets sometimes much more than physical goods. And our mission at Sandbox, even since we started in 2011 on mobile, has been to always empower players, empower anyone to become a creator, and to provide them accessible tools so that they can build new form of digital experiences, virtual worlds, now based on true digital ownership. So what is a sandbox, essentially? This is this decentralized virtual world where anyone can make 3D content and experiences, truly own them, monetize them the way they want, exchange them, sell them, including on marketplaces outside of Sandbox, and even more, play with their content, their digital content, even if it wasn't created on Sandbox. You access those experiences with an avatar. That avatar is this new digital identity that that represents you. And for the first time ever in human history, we can choose our identity. We can really choose who we are, how we would look like, man, woman, or even non-human creature. And we can connect with others through that. The metaverse is going to be essentially user-generated. Like 99% of the metaverse will be built by the users, not by professional studios and brands. That's the only way that we can scale content production massively. But we still want it to be a place that connects people to the physical world through culture. And that's why we are also very attached at Sandbox to bring brands from all around the world in various fields of sport, fashion, music, gaming, entertainment, media, and more. And for the first time ever, allow the users to take the official content from the brand, mix it, remix it the way they want, using those tools to build their own digital experiences that they will own, that will monetize the way they want, and they will bring to life a world of imagination. So we are talking about a new format of entertainment. It's not just traditional game like we've seen before. It's not purely social networks. It's a mixture of it, where any kind of industry vertical will be represented and offer something in the middle that is still being experimented and in the making. As I mentioned, we are using blockchain technologies and NFTs to use that. And now that we have this layer of technologies that enable to have a digital asset of value, we can build a new digital economy. There's already tens of thousands of jobs that's been created in the metaverse, on Sandbox and other decentralized platforms. And we believe that the digital economy will keep growing, even pushing towards new realms of decentralized finance and even decentralized governance. Because users who create those worlds or who engage in those worlds should ultimately, as a new citizen of this digital nation, be able to vote based on the stakes they have on their ownership. This is a representation of some of those 400 brands that already entered the Sandbox. You can see we have a majority of brands from Asia, like Hong Kong, Korea. In gaming, we have Ubisoft, Atari, Square Enix, but also in media, Time, South China Morning Post. In fashion, with Gucci, with Adidas. Music artists, obviously, with Steve Aoki, Snoop Dogg, Blondish, Paris Hilton, etc. It's quite an interesting cultural world. And frankly speaking, the first time you enter Sandbox, what you see is like this mixture of all characters and content coming from those brands, which is very refreshing. So we want you to be able to play with your avatar, diverse, immersive experiences, either as a single player, but more often multiplayer with other users. We want you to be able to create that world, be able to turn anyone into a creator through no-code tools. And we want you to be able to own that world, truly. Own the lands, own your avatar as your digital identity, own the equipment, the wearable, anything you create, and use it in Sandbox, but already outside of Sandbox as well, so that all the activities you have allows you to earn revenue. And as I mentioned, even though Sandbox is not yet open, we are fully attached to showcase the possibility of the metaverse as early as possible. Like, we don't want you to feel like this is something out of science fiction movies only, but something that you can actually concretely access. We did that last year during an event called the Alpha Season 3, where you could play over 100 experiences, including 22 with major brand and music artists. Here I can see Steve Aoki, I saw the Care Bears before, I've seen the Smurf, but I've seen also the Rabbits from Ubisoft or The Walking Dead. And the results have been amazing. Like, we've had over 17 million visits from users during that 10 weeks long season, with an average of 30,000 active users, which might seem small, but given Sandbox is not yet on mobile, and with something we're working on for later this year, we believe it's still very significant. And the most important metric we've seen is like the average time spent by users on a daily basis in an experience, which is over 30 minutes, and sometimes leading up to 1 hour. If you ask me, and I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years in web, in mobile, I haven't seen that kind of engagement metric ever before. Users spent on average 10 seconds to 1 minute on the mobile content. They tend to bounce very fast on the information. So having the opportunity to engage users for 30 minutes to 1 hour where they are exploring, completing quests, and earning rewards for doing so is something very powerful that brands and projects and communities can access through creating immersive experience, social experiences in the metaverse. And that's, I think, the one thing that they should focus the most right now. Yes, the metaverse is in the making. We are in the early days, and we should think first and foremost about like how we make this space creative and engaging to drive the audience to come not just once, but to come many times, come back and grow those audiences. So if you're thinking of entering the metaverse only with a perspective of like, let's make revenue, let's monetize, let's open a commerce, a shop, etc., you might be a little bit too early in that sense. And I would encourage you to rethink that strategy and be more focused around like unlocking the power of niche marketing and subculture to first grow those audiences, those community in the space, and later on be able to address them, sell them content, and so on. So we are seeing like Web3 is a space for subculture to grow, to develop. It's a different approach, and it needs brands to adapt to that new language. It needs brands to be part of those communities and be on those channels like Discord, Twitter, and those spaces through NFTs. And we're talking about not customer relation management in the metaverse, we're talking about ownership relation management. We make all the content accessible for free. We want users to actually open a wallet for the first time, giving them a showcase of the possible use case, like how they can connect, they can socialize, they can play with their avatar. And as they create a wallet, we're opening a new bridge to them so that we can address them over their lifetime. And when instead of trying to keep the users locked on one platform or another, like traditionally in Web 2, having to spend on social media to target users, but then once you get maybe millions of views on a post, a like, how do you connect afterwards? Well, there's no other way actually than spending again and again on the platform. Here, every time a brand enters Web3, allows their community to create a wallet, they are building a long-term relationship with them because they can offer additional services and value through their NFT. We're no longer talking about customers, we're talking about community. So we have to think, like, how do we give value to that community? How do we engage it, to reward it? We're not just trying to sell them something, we're trying to build a relationship with them. And we're not talking about advertising, we're talking about entertainment. We want to create engagement, we want to create something that's fun and use like storytelling, narrative, rewards to deliver something that like they want to engage with using the native format of such platform, here virtual world. Something as well that Sandbox has done pretty well and makes us unique is this notion of virtual world map. We have a finite map of 166, 464 lands in total, each one being an NFT on the blockchain that you can own, and we've reinforced the notion of ownership by allowing you to put your own logo. And once we launched those land sales, roughly sold over 70% of that map today over the past 3 years. And those lands keep selling very fast because you can get connected as well by becoming a virtual neighbor of your favorite brands or community. And when you do so, like you enable your users and their avatar to move from one land to another very smoothly, allowing like this new social layer that's very similar to like reproducing in the physical world. And it allows to expand the brand's presence, the project presence all around them, much beyond their own land. What are we seeing already in Sandbox? We're seeing like social hubs, dance clubs, we're seeing virtual concerts, virtual shows, architecture, virtual houses, and housing with both exterior architect and interior architect. Tourism is strong, and it's definitely a way to allow people to discover new places through history and time without having to travel, and then leading them to want to visit the place in physical world. Museum and galleries, fashion show, art show, education, work. It's starting as well, but in a new format. It's not trying to reproduce this Zoom-like kind of like streaming session. And of course, games. But more importantly, again, back to this idea that we don't want the audience to be passive. We want them to engage. Everything that every brand, once they enter the metaverse, the first thing they want to do is they want to open themselves to co-create their presence with their community. So they launched something called a game jam, which is like a video game competition, where through those no-code tools, they offer to their fan and audience to create games or any kind of experiences and become their neighbor, populate their own land featuring user content, and also onboard people to those new creative skills. So for the first time, you can imagine a brand like Care Bears or music artists like Deadmau, Atari or the Smurf or Walking Dead. Suddenly, instead of trying to be very protective of their IP, opening it to co-creation to their fan and embracing the idea that the fans can co-create with them and even monetize that work. And I find that this is really true to the spirit of Web3 and the metaverse, which is like essentially user-driven and community-driven, and where the value should flow not just on the platform or the key brand creators, but really through like every contributor that allows to grow those worlds. One more thing I find very exciting about the metaverse, again, is that notion of digital identity. For the first time, we can choose how we look. We can have our own unique wearables and create custom fashion. We already have very talented virtual fashion designers in the metaverse. It is a job. And we also have this opportunity to connect and allow users to interact with avatars or NFT collection, even when they were created outside of Sandbox. So suddenly, instead of being the only provider of avatars, any project in Web3 can actually see value to offer their collection to become 3D playable characters, and hence adding like the possibility to connect and socialize with other users in a 3D world and engage their community to create the space in their land. I'm a little bit over time, sorry, so I'll try to move a bit faster, but I wanted to show you some concrete use case of brand that already entered Sandbox. Here is the Gucci Vault. So last year, Gucci launched the Gucci Vault in 8 key physical locations around the world. It's a space where they rebranded some stores and to enable showing like content that they collected through the year with the various fashion designers. And because it's only 8 physical locations in the world, they wanted also to make a space that's available to just anyone, anywhere. That space was born in Sandbox and not only featured the physical content, but also like digital artists, digital content, and ways to engage as users could collect those Gucci box and earn reward, exclusive reward for that. We also had activation in the space of music with Warner Music, who created like a music theme park and start to engage many of those artists into different space. Here is, for example, one of their labels focused on like electro music, who also launched a contest involving the community to vote for the next songs or even co-create with them, which I found like is very exciting, like to have such this open and creative approach to co-create with the community. Here is Paris Hilton, who recently for Valentine Days opened an experience, the first like dating experience in the metaverse. So you could play some games, but you can also like socialize in her in a place called Club XYZ, a virtual club, where she featured some of her remix music and attracted another audience. Cartoon and entertainment is also very present already. We had the rabbits who invaded the metaverse. Very creatively, instead of building their own land, they came and, well, basically they pretty much destroyed everything around them, like they always do. And the players had to actually like find where they have been like scattered around, exploring even more and expanding their presence into other users' lands. And we just launched yesterday the Lunar New Year experience of the rabbits with unique rabbits avatar that you could use as your digital identity. They have been so popular that they sold out in 1 hour. So like people enjoy playing as those virtual characters like rabbits, Care Bear, Smurf, Snoop Dogg, Steve Aoki, and many others. And that's a proof, that's a validation of like the metaverse should be more inclusive, should be more diverse, and should be open to any kind of avatar representation. We've grown tremendously in 2022. Our ecosystem now counts over 700 partners. And among those 400 brands, we also see like 200 builders, agencies, many education partners, game studios, and also various platforms that are using the different layers of Sandbox, like lands, NFTs, avatars, to build like, I don't know, the discovery tools, the new marketplace, the new job places, and so on. So being a place where like others can be successful as well, launching their own business, I believe is key to the success of the metaverse. And well, that was a bit short, so I hope that what you saw kind of started to drive your curiosity, to excite you so that we can build the future of the metaverse together as a community. And you should definitely create an avatar, start exploring, make an ID for yourself, and hopefully see you there. Thank you very much.